Synergy Jeep JL and JT front track bar and sector shaft brace. Begin by parking the vehicle on a flat and level ground. Put the vehicle in park and chock the wheels. Remove the frame side track bar bolt. It's easiest to do this with the vehicle on the ground to remove tension. If the bolt is still under tension, use ratchet straps to pull the axle to one side or the other to free up the bolt and get it out. Installation can be done on the ground, but we recommend lifting the vehicle and removing the front driver's side tire in order to get enough room to access all the bolts. Disconnect the front sway bar links at the axle, then swing the sway bar and sway bar links down and out of the way. Use a 42mm socket to remove the factory pitman arm nut. The pitman arm is tapered and splined, so it shouldn't come off. Sometimes you might have to use a little heat to loosen the factory applied thread locker on the nut. Install the supplied new pitman arm nut. If you have a PSC big bore steering box, you will need the 8869-10 pitman arm nut. Apply some of the provided thread locker to the threads and torque to 184 foot-pounds. This torque spec applies to either stock steering box or the PSC big bore box. Be sure to allow the thread locker to dry for at least 24 hours before driving the Jeep. Unbolt the 4 bolts holding the steering box on. The box will drop slightly and rest against the top of the frame. If you still have the aluminum steering box, note which bolts go where. The 2 longer bolts go to the front 2 bolt holes. Slide the Synergy track bar brace up from the bottom over the factory track bar mount. Note, some Jeep frames may have welds that need to be ground down on the existing track bar mount in order to get the track bar brace to fit. Once the track bar brace smoothly fits over the frame mount, use the track bar bolt to hold the track bar brace in place. You will have to lift the steering box slightly to get the steering box bolts started. It's easiest to start with the front lower bolts, then the rear lower bolt to get the box and frame holes lined up correctly. Slide in all 4 steering box bolts by hand and get them started. Thread the bolts in most of the way, but leave them loose at this time. If you still have the aluminum steering box, then the factory steering box bolts are sufficient to hold the brace to the frame. You will have to use the 4 M12 by 1.5 by 120mm bolts that are supplied with the kit. In order to install the 2 1/2-inch bolts, you may have to remove the track bar bolt to gain clearance. Install one 1/2 by 1 inch long bolt and 1/2-inch washer into the upper side hole on the track bar bracket. Use a 1/2-inch top lock nut and a 1/2-inch washer on the inside of the mount. Do not tighten yet. Install the 1/2-inch low profile bolt in the bottom side hole in the track bar bracket. Install the bolt so that the low profile head is on the inside of the factory track bar mount and the threads come out of the side of the Synergy track bar brace. Put a 1/2-inch washer and 1/2-inch top lock nut on the outside. Do not tighten yet. If you remove the track bar bolt, reinstall it now. Begin tightening the hardware, starting with the upper 1/2-inch side bolt and lower 1/2-inch low profile bolt. And then the 4 steering box bolts. Tighten the 1/2-inch hex bolt and 1/2-inch low profile hex bolt to 60 foot-pounds. Tighten the M12 steering box bolts to 99 foot-pounds. The sector shaft brace now comes assembled with a sealed bearing requiring no other assembly to be done. You do not need to use any O-rings with a sealed bearing. Simply slide the new sealed bearing sector shaft brace between the ears of the Synergy track bar brace and over the pitman arm nut. Note that there should be a small gap between the ears and the steel block to allow for variances in fitment. This will close up when the hardware is tightened. For those of you who want a serviceable option, we still offer the bronze bushing with grease fittings. This is installed in the same way as the sealed bearing, but requires O-rings on top and bottom. The O-rings are supplied in the kit. Apply the provided thread locker to the 3/8 by 24 or 3/4 inch long hex bolts. Be sure to allow the thread locker to dry for at least 24 hours before driving the Jeep. Put one 3/8 washer on each bolt and thread the bolts through the track bar mount ears into the sector shaft brace, front and back. Torque these bolts to 50 foot-pounds. In preparation for reinstalling the track bar, remove the track bar bolt. Put the front wheels back on and lower the vehicle back onto the ground. Torque the lug nuts to 130 foot-pounds. With the vehicle back on the ground, reinstall the front track bar and torque the front track bar bolt to 125 foot-pounds. In order to run the front factory track bar, you will need at least 2 inches of front bump stop spacing as a minimum. If you have a stock vehicle, like the one we've done the install on, you will have to use a Synergy adjustable track bar. If you run the Synergy front adjustable track bar, you will not need to run any additional bump stop spacing. We recommend the Synergy front adjustable track bar for any vehicles at stock ride height. If running the front Synergy adjustable track bar, once the axle's been centered underneath the vehicle, tighten the pinch bolt to 60 to 90 foot-pounds. Swing the sway bar up and reattach the sway bar links to the lower axle mount. Tighten the bolts to 59 foot-pounds. Installation is complete. For more information about this product or other Synergy products, visit us at synergymfg.com.